Predestination, the belief that God has preordained certain events or outcomes, is a complex and often debated doctrine in Christianity. The Bible addresses it in various passages, presenting both the idea of God's sovereign choice and human responsibility. Here's an overview of key scriptures related to predestination and how they are understood. Part 1. Romans 8:29-30. For those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son. And those he predestined, he also called. Those he called, he also justified. Those he justified, he also glorified. This passage suggests that God has a predetermined plan for believers, involving stages from foreknowledge to glorification. Many interpret foreknew to mean that God knew people intimately before they chose faith, while others believe it implies God's choice in advance of their faith. 2. Ephesians 1:4-5-11. For he chose us in him before the creation of the world to be holy and blameless in his sight. In love, he predestined us for adoption to sonship through Jesus Christ, in accordance with his pleasure and will. In him we were also chosen, having been predestined according to the plan of him who works out everything in conformity with the purpose of his will. Ephesians emphasizes that believers are chosen by God from the foundation of the world. This passage supports the idea of predestination as part of God's sovereign plan, highlighting God's initiative and will in the process of salvation. 3. John 6:44-65. Jesus says, "No one can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws them, and no one can come to me unless it is granted him by the Father." These verses emphasize that God's initiative is essential for people to come to faith. They suggest that God draws individuals to believe in Jesus, often seen as evidence that God chooses or enables certain people to respond to the gospel. What do you think? Do we really have free will, or it is a combination of predetermined and free will?